Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning into these videos. And in this video, I'm going to be speaking about this movie that they're starting to make. It's called The Book of Clarence. And I'm going to play the trailer, but with the volume muted. And so it's one of those timepieces, but as you can see, as well right here, it takes place in Jerusalem AD 33. And then the casts that they have playing these people, the Israelites, are so-called blacks. And so when we're going out there on the highways and hedges, that's something that we're telling our people. We're telling them that, if you were to watch a movie like this, that these people, the Israelites that are depicted in this movie, those are actually like our people, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Of course, this is mainly the time when the Southern Kingdom was there, and Yahweh Shai. So I'm just gonna rewind it real quick, because in the movie, this person right here is depicted as Yahweh Shai. You can't see his face, but you can see his hand right there. And it might be like a little silly movie, because this person, he pretty much wants to buy the spiritual powers. Just like how in the scriptures, that one person, he wanted to buy the power. But the thing is about this movie that's very interesting is that they casted all the Israelites as so-called black people. I guess right here they play right here, they faked a miracle that he was able to cure this person's blindness. And they're getting all those shekels. And I'm just going to fast forward to right here so you can see they even have the Roman centurions playing a specific race and class of people, the Edomites. Now, as we're watching these movies and things that are happening, playing out, you could read these comment sections and see what the world thinks about these things. Because this is something that from the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone on down have been speaking about for at least 30 plus years, and then even more so before that from the One West School, when Alba Bivens was saying things that what this movie is depicting. And so you read this in the comments section, and so I'm gonna read this from this guy's name's Noah Force. It says they actually can't make a movie without blasphemy. Incredible. And very well that the blasphemy he's speaking about is that they depicted the so-called Israelites as dark-skinned individuals. And so you see the comment section is it's a whole bunch, it's a hodgepodge of confusion, and you can see that Esau is still out here pretty much upset that that they're trying to make these movies. Now, of course, it's really just a movie about a guy who's trying to buy the spirit, but this is a movie where it's going to have all the Israelites depicted as who they actually are. And so with that topic, because a lot of people still think that back in the day, during the times of Clarence, like in this movie's it sets it's AD 33, around the time of Yahweh Shai, a lot of these people still have this stronghold that they think that this guy right here that's on the screen is the guy who was going around preaching and prophesying in the name of the Most High in those times of 33 AD. And you see all these pictures with all these icons that everybody still worships and venerates. But then if you actually read the scriptures, you'll put two and two together and know and understand that Yahweh did not send his son Yahweh Shai to the earth as leprous as this picture is depicted, with light hair, light skin. That you're able to the blood is showing forth. Like you see, his cheeks are red, his neck is red, his hands are red, and there's a whole bunch of these pictures, and all these pictures of this so-called Yahweh Shai. This is not Yahweh Shai. This is Yahweh Shai, a more better artist depiction of when the scriptures are speaking about how he is supposed to appear. This is how he would appear, not like this. So all these pictures of this bozo right here, they were really only made during the 15th century and onward, during the falling away of the real Hebrew Israelites. Once we were, sent into slave ships and all that stuff, and Esau stepped in, and he had that small season of rulership during the Renaissance, which is the rebirth. That was the time when Esau got up into a status and a power and was able to start dictating things. He was depicting him as all these people. You can look at the definition of iconoclasm. And the definition of iconoclasm, and well, here's actually evidence of iconoclasm, because once Esau was in power and the Israelites were set in slave ships and taken down a notch, pretty much, that's what they were doing. They were going around to these artifacts, these ancient saints, if you will, people who were following the scriptures and having these churches, and wherever they were at, they were either in Russia, where that's where you have the Eastern Orthodox Church. They were either in the Byzantine Empire, and all those relics. Esau went over there because we were out of the picture, and he destroyed and dismantled these images, iconoclasm. And a lot of people, because we've been out there on the highways and hedges for a while, starting from the apostles and the elders on down, a lot of people, they don't believe in iconoclasm. They actually believe, even going back to Egypt, pharaohs, they think that this guy was also a so-called white person. And I haven't found, there's like certain tombs that they actually recently discovered. Like I should have got the video of it, but here's one picture of like how they actually were depicted, like those Hamites in that region, because they were dark-skinned individuals. And everybody has dark skin. The only person who doesn't is Esau Edom, because if you read his the way he was conceived in the scriptures, he was red all over. That's why he was named Esau, wasted away. And I forget the name of this tomb that they had recently found a tomb like I think 3 or 4 years back, and it was nothing but a bunch of pictures of like these people. But let me see if I could type light skinned, because Esau will have you think that the Egyptians look like this. Or like this picture right here, you see them, they got that white skin. Well, we got proof that Esau was literally going around practicing iconoclasm, even to all these other heathen nations. Esau wants to be everybody but Esau. So let me go back real quick. So these are all instances of iconoclasm in the Byzantine Empire, and all these places. But let me see if I can get the definition. So this is iconoclasm's definition. It says the act of attacking or assertively rejecting cherished beliefs and institutions or established values and practices. The rejection or destruction of religious images as heretical, the doctrine of iconoclasm. And this goes into the scriptures of Job 9 and 24. Just going to get this real quick. So this is Job 9 and 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And that's Esau Edom. And so you can see in the comment section that they're upset that this movie wasn't another iconoclast piece where they were depicting all the Israelites as so-called small hats, if you will, if you understand what I'm speaking about. And so, and this is not just because we feel like we're just trying to propagate another person's religion and history. This is because this is actually the scriptures, and it's the other way around. They're the ones who are trying to take away what is rightfully ours. Because all you really have to do is read precept upon precept and understand. You also have to have that vision. You have to have the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai dealing with you so that you can get this full understanding. A lot of people are not religious, but they know that this is a realistic depiction. They may have a like a zeal, but not according to knowledge. So according to knowledge is that you could say, I believe that the Israelites were depicted properly in this movie, but according to knowledge, I can show you the precepts. Here, line upon line, here, there, here a little, and there a little. And so one of the instances that I like going to is the event that took place in the Old Testament with Moses and his sister Miriam. So this is in the book of Exodus 4. This is when the Heavenly Father was speaking to him. And so I'm just going to get to the point. This is Exodus 4 verse 6. It says, "And the Lord Yahweh said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom." So this is Moses. He put his hand on his chest. And it reads, "And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow." So the Heavenly Father, to prove his works to Moses, he pretty much took all of his melanin out of his hand. And then if you read it again, it says, and he said, He put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And so if you read this right here, it's really plain right here that at one point his hand was leprous as snow, and then it went back to like how his other flesh was. So you can't really spin this story around, but you still got our people who believe in Esau's in madness. And then you can even read this here in Numbers 12 and 10. But this is something when you're trying to get this point across to like a bug out on the streets, or a person who's coming up against the ministry because they're so-called Christian or whatever, which they don't read the Bible, because one of their favorite things they love to say is the Old Testament is done away with, or the laws are done away with. But we got precept upon precept saying that we're under grace right now. The laws and the old scriptures are not done away with. It's just that this is that moment of grace that the scriptures are speaking about in the Old Testament. But try to get that point across to them. Good luck. But this is in Numbers 12 and 10. This is going into the laws and what's clean and what's unclean. Also, it's actually this one right here in Leviticus 13 and 30. It says, "Then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry skull, even a leprosy upon the head or beard." So leprosy is pretty much like an issue of the skin. Like if you have if you're a person who's got melanin, because not everybody in this ministry has melanin anymore. Some of us are Israelite foreigners, where we were scattered throughout the place, and we lost that characteristic of ours. But in this situation, you're technically considered unclean, because if you were to have blonde hair, because that's something that is an issue of the skin. You got instances where you got clean lepers and unclean lepers. And in this situation, it's speaking about Leviticus 13 and 30. It's going into how a person who's going to be pronounced unclean is going to have yellow, thin hairs. And so you can read this further on down to see like how they dealt with that. But right now you got all of these people, that they don't really understand what the scriptures are speaking about, because Moses was he basically had leprosy for a quick second on his hand. And then if you read this in Numbers 12 and 10, this also happened to Miriam when she was going up against the order of Moses. And this is Numbers 12 and 10. "And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow." So this was her whole body, her whole head, and her hairs her hairs were yellow, and her skin was white. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And so according to the law, they basically had to kick her out of the camp. They had a quarantine, because that spirit, that sickness could spread. And our people, they don't understand that these laws technically are still in effect. It's just that we have grace that allows us to abound through these things. And so you could read this more further proof information in Daniel 10 and Revelation 1 and 14, going into the actual depiction of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. And so this is in Daniel 10, and I'm just going to get to the point, but I'm going to start 10 verse 5. It says, "Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body was also like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire." So right here is pretty much putting the depiction of like what he was looking like. This is basically what he was like. He had that austere look. He had the eyes that were as fire because he had that mean look. He was a man, not like the people in this world where they have those glossy eyes. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, when they were depicted in the scriptures, they were given that characteristic that their eyes were as fire because they were austere men. They meant business. And so continuing on, it says, and his arms and his feet like in color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. Now, if you go into that word for brass, the definition of the outline of biblical usage is copper, bronze. Uh, pretty much, those right there, copper and bronze. And if you know a little thing or two about metallurgy, copper and bronze, those are metals. But then if you mix them up in a furnace, it becomes an alloy and it turns into brass. So I'm just going to type in copper real quick so we can just get some pictures. So this is the element copper that if you were to cook up some malachite stones, this element would come out. And then bronze, it's more of a golden metal alloy. But to make brass, let me see how to make brass. Because it's like a certain concoction. You need to. Oh yeah, right. That's the one that I was forgetting. So to make brass specifically, you need to have brass and copper and copper and zinc, so that you can make brass. So that would make it considered an alloy. It says to make brass, the copper and zinc are melted together in the furnace at a certain temperature, and then even the measurements of it, because it has to be 60 to 90% copper with a little bit of zinc. And so when it says right here that it was as if it was polished brass, you have to understand that the majority of what was in that alloy, specifically, was copper. And so it was like as if it was polished brass, because Esau will tell you that brass is actually gold looking, which is right, because the way you cook it, the way you make it, the way you mix it, the way you heat it can change the outcome of how it looks. Like for example, like if you look at like the casing of bullets, these things are golden. Like right, you see right here, this like a casing of a bullet. This right here, this alloy is brass, and so it's very it's got a nice sheen. Like it's almost as if it looks like it's gold. But the thing is though, is if you were to make certain statues or instruments or like dishes, like this right here picture, this glossy vintage brass bowl of decoration, and you can see that it's got a very nice brown color. You can scroll here because I guess this website, they're selling a lot of brass polished bowls, and some of them do look gold, but really you can't escape the fact that there's a hint of brown in these colors. Even this right here is a 19th century brass bowl. It costs $365. It has that brown look as if it's got a lot of pennies in it, a lot of copper in it, because it does. So when Daniel was seeing this, when he saw Yahweh, he was seeing that his skin color was as if it was colored of polished brass. A good depiction is this right here. Because that right there, his skin is not 100% dark like the negro color, like from a crayon. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai's skin is not like this color right here. It's got a little bit of like how I was just speaking about brass. It's got a little bit of an admixture to it to give it this look specifically. And so you could read this also in Revelation 1 and 14, I believe. I believe it's in 1 and 15. Yeah, but Yahweh and Yahweh Shai looked the same. He was as if he looked like his father. That's when the disciples asked how his father looked, he was pretty much giving the answer that he looks just like him. And so right here, this is in Revelation 1 and 14. And let me see if I can get that picture of Jesus again. Get an image. So you can get this picture, like this one right here, because people really don't know how when Yahweh Shai returns, how it's going to play out, because it's really going to be an individual that looks just like this, and the actions that he's going to perform also. They think that when he comes back, he's going to, one, look like this, and two, just be all nice and bashful and hugging everybody and all that stuff. Well, that's not the case, because you can read this here in the scriptures. This is Revelation 1 and 14. I'll read verse 13 first. It says, "And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man." So he was like the Son of Man, speaking about Yahushai. It says, "Clothed with a garment down to the foot." A garment down to the foot. He didn't wear a t-shirt. And this is not what you would consider a dress either. This is a garment, a holy, righteous garment that the ancient Israelites were wearing during the Book of Clarence, like this movie. But go back to this. So it says right here, "Clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle." This picture right here, he does have a golden girdle, but like in certain other pictures, he doesn't, like this one right here. But in this one, the artist's depiction made sure to implement a golden girdle. All the things that an Israelite would have. He's got the tassels, the border of blue, the fringes, and even that garment that's color is of beryl, like a very nice rich green. All right, so continuing on, it says, verse 14, "His head and his hairs were white like wool." So this is the depiction of one of the members of our ministry. He made sure to implement that characteristic. His hairs were white like wool, as because like a so-called black person, a Hebrew Israelite, they have that texture of their hair, and Yahushai is a wise individual, meaning he's gonna have that white hairy wool hair. But this person right here does not. It's just silky, just like stringy, and it's not white. And then verse 14 says, "His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters." And let's go ahead and Google brass as if it was burnt in a furnace. Because actually I showed you a picture of like the brass casings of bullets, and I was actually in the military, so whenever you were to shoot the the rifle and the casings would come out, the casings would come out burnt and dark. So like even though those casings of the bullets, let me see if I can get those again. So like bullet casings, after they're being fired, they have that nice gold sheen, but once that the explosion of the thing happens, the cartridge gets shot out of the rifle, the brass is now dark brown. You can look this up yourself. It's all these pictures. They don't just come out the rifle after you discharge them all gold like that. They come out real hot and real burnt, like how this looks. And like you can see this picture right here, the color of burnt brass, because when you apply more heat to it, it starts to get that darker brown look. So I don't know why people still believe in that picture that that I was showing of this imaginary dude. But this person right here is not imaginary. This is Yahushai that the scriptures are speaking about, and the people that he's going to come and defend are going to be people that are going to be depicted like as if in the movie here, the Book of Clarence. So with that, I'd like to give honor and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Ruach HaKodesh, and Shalom Akim.